Online car sales seem to be a hotbed of scams these days. You look at Craigslist, Marketplace, eBay, Kijiji. Go online, you'll see lots of used cars for sale. But the worst part is, everybody knows that they're in big demand. To get a good quality used car is hard to find these days. You look at that car ad for $5,000 for this 5-year-old Honda Civic and you think, wow, that's a great deal. That almost seems to be good to be true. Well, I've seen many of those cases, and you often wonder where the history of these vehicles, cars, assets, goods of any product. You see tools on there, you see all kinds of things and services that you really often wonder, is that legit? Is this person really selling this? Oh, wait a minute, but it's not in my city. Even though you filter, and have you never found that what's going on in a lot of the, say, Facebook Marketplace, and we browse her quite often. I've often found myself looking for used cars quite frequently. It's a very convenient spot. You put faith, a lot of times in the sellers, you put faith in the people putting those vehicles up for sale. But then when you really start digging, it starts to become more clear. See, a lot of people don't do their due diligence, and that's unfortunate, but so many people are taken for a ride these days on things like Marketplace. It's such an easy place to sort of filter in and scam people. And there's so many stories that are heartbreaking these days. As a matter of fact, some tactics that they'll utilize is, I'm selling it on behalf of my old dead aunt, or I'm selling it for my son or my, wife, or I'm selling it in some way for somebody else. That's a classic scam. I mean, most people who sell a car own a car. They have an asset, they want to make sure it gets dealt with, they're going to do it themselves. But that's always a way to sort of third party yourself out of the transaction and create some confusion in that transaction. And that's one of those situations you really, really have to ask why or whose car really is this. See, it's unfortunate because when you see that $5,000 car and you truly believe that this is a car worth buying, I've seen so many times when you call them up and you meet them, and it's usually done through text first, usually there's a filter, and then you got to filter it and say, hey, I'm interested in your car. They might respond back to you, and who's on the other end? Who knows? Is it Jimmy Bean or is it Johnny Blow? Is it who knows what's on the other side? And the sad reality with a lot of that is a lot of these scammers now are making fake profiles. Pfft, go figure. I mean, I came across a car actually a couple months ago. I was browsing and it really seemed intriguing. It seemed like, okay, fine, yeah, this is a nice car. I'm going to inquire about it. And then you get a response, and it was very sort of aggressive and abrupt and almost pushy. So do you want it? So do you want it? After I just inquired, asked a couple basic questions. And it's this aggressive behavior that quite often is telling. When people are pushy or aggressive, they're either really motivated or quite often scammers. They're really trying to make it get done and get it done quickly. But on the flip side, I've also sold cars, and there's scams going on the buyer side. So if you're selling a car, there's so many scam artists out there. First of all, I want to advise you, if you're selling a car or you're buying a car, never, ever, ever meet anybody in a dark alley. Never meet them in private. Always bring some friends, because we tried to sell a car. We had this little Honda Civic 2012 that we tried to sell this summer, and I can't tell you how many scam artists, how many creepy people would show up. One meets, and then next thing another one shows up, another one, and they didn't speak English very well, and it felt like a very, very interesting situation that we were encountered upon, and it became, one was there initially, met us, and by the time we finished our conversation, they were really starting to crowd us, and we felt very uncomfortable. Now, fortunately, it was one of my family members' cars, but I decided to come along just to provide a little bit of extra moral support, and it's a good thing I did, because these people were nothing short of creepy. And we also met at a very busy, right outside the front doors of a very busy local mall. So you always want to make sure that you're in busy, well-lit areas during a busy time of day, and always take one or two or more people with you. I mean, you want to protect not just your asset, but more importantly, your own personal health and well-being. And there's so many people out there that just don't wish the best upon you. So always make sure that you're doing and dealing in these transactions in a safe and effective manner. Above all, cars can be replaced, money can be replaced. You can't. But there's so many scams out there these days. For example, you go, you inquire about a car, and you even filter. So you pick your city. Say you're in a city, say Detroit. Okay, I live in Detroit, and you search this marketplace, and they even have your postal code or your zip code, and they know that you know how marketplace works. It just knows and it prioritizes the listings for your area, and it'll say from that area, Detroit, and you'll search, say, for Porsche Boxster, and you're searching. All these ads come up, and you start clicking into them, and you realize, wait a minute, you click into that and you find, well, wait a minute, there's palm trees in the background of that car. Why is there a Porsche Boxster with palm trees in Detroit? Well, first of all, hint, hello, that's a scam. And I can't tell you how many of these I've seen, like where it just doesn't seem to resonate. And great, sure, maybe they found this, maybe they took their car on a holiday one year and what have you. There's always going to be a scam artist that's always going to have a story. But it just always, the spidey senses are tingling. Another thing, they'll say, well, yeah, no, the car's not here. It's parked in another location. I'll have to pay. You might have to just pay a little bit of money to get the shipping company, who coincidentally, they know exactly who to get a hold of. They always have that proverbial shipping organization that can get their car on on the flatbed for you to buy and get it shipped overseas or shipped across the country. But have you never noticed some of these cars that are too good to be true, you can never ever see them in person. There's always something shady going on there. There's information missing. They don't show pictures of everything. They just show pictures, like 5 pictures of the front of the car. But there's nothing else. What about the interior? What about the back? What about, show me more? And yet they don't. And those often raise more red flags. But people that quite often just don't want to deal in person, rather just dealing over the phone and constantly text, they're not willing to talk to you, because ultimately it's always nice to talk to somebody. How many times have you actually talked to somebody on a phone these days? The vast majority of the time, we find people just more willing to text. And I get it. Not everybody wants to talk, and it takes time, and we're all busy lives. But if there's that time and that situation where I have actually had this, where I've said, can you call me? Here's my number. I'd like to ask some specific questions. They don't call. They add in this extended delay period, maybe wait a day or two, and then they text me back, oh, so sorry, got hung up with work. Next thing you know, they're back to texting. They're trying to evade something. And there's so many of these scams online right now that I've personally experienced, with these fake backdrops, with these fake pictures, with these fake sellers, with sellers that say it's a personal person, but they're actually working on behalf of a dealer, which maybe is not as creepy and crawly, but it's still susceptible to all kinds of different scams. The last thing also you want to do is have other things like extra fees and costs. I mean, if you're buying off marketplace, let's be honest, the intention of an online classified is to buy a product that is personal. And most of these personal vehicles are exempt from extra fees, taxes, charges. Now, if you're getting a vehicle shipped and you've already seen the vehicle, you've put your hands on it, you've driven it, you've shook the hands with the seller, and you've had that coordinated discussion, and as well you've agreed on a form of payment, i.e. a small amount of money down, but most importantly, I would strongly suggest a bank draft with that person's name on it. That's always probably the best bet. Doing a quick wire transfer across open airwaves usually is a way to just say, make your money go away. Because remember, how many times have you not seen a classified ad and somebody's inquiring about a car that you're selling, and then you see it's like Joe Schmo, and so you're like, oh, let's click into Joe Schmo. And Joe Schmo's Facebook profile doesn't even have, like, there's 2 followers and there's a generic picture of a couple of cars, and there's nothing really there. There's no posts, there's no likes, there's no family, there's no history. That's a key indicator that either A, they just set it up, which is less likely, and B, they're just trying to scam you. See, there's so many scam artists, there's so many fake profiles, and they're all trying to hide behind those fake profiles to get you to send you money. Wire transfer, you need, just give us $1,000, we'll hold it for you. And then they all of a sudden disappear. It's easy to set up a new profile. They do that, they scam a few people. Next thing you know, they've got your $1,000 or $2,500 and they've transferred it over, and there's really very little you can do in recourse. They can fake emails, they can fake profiles on Facebook. and there's so many fake situations. And honestly, the Better Business Bureau tries to get involved and tries to, wean out some of the legitimate dealers, but they only take care of the honest criminals, right? If you know what I mean. And there's so many scammers that a lot of cases, they don't even live on our shores. A lot of times they live overseas, they're hiding out somewhere, and they've got a list of numbers that they can start calling, or they get online because social media is all across the globe. It's easy to get a hold of. But it's just a sad state when people get taken for a ride. Another thing that they often do is, even if you do start texting, and they almost add in, a state of distress and duress, and they just want to try to fast talk a transaction in very, very quickly, and they'll try to get you to shed some money and put some money down, or even if you do happen to see them, they'll try to put the fast talk on you and say, well, you know what, ultimately I'm selling it, my grandmother just passed away and I'm just trying to clean up the estate. And while there's so many cases like that that are totally legitimate, this is the problem. It ruins it for the honest people. But there's a lot that they try to tug on your heartstrings and try to get you to buy something. And usually it's a car that's been wrecked, or if a car at all, you'd be even lucky if a car shows up in the first place. That brings me to another place. A lot of these people say, oh yeah, no, it's a perfect car, no problems, no accidents, no issues. And you start digging and sniffing and you see body panels aren't aligned, there was problems with the vehicle. And then you start digging and you start really researching it, and you find that, wait a minute, there was a $4,000, $8,000, $10,000 accident claim against this car. And so I've even seen this personally. I've personally witnessed this. We have experienced this ourselves where we were given a wrong Carfax. It didn't have any information. We ended up buying a car that had severe damage, as listed later on. They gave us a piece of paper. They gave us a doctored up sheet that had essentially, where do I have that? They gave us a doctored up piece of paper that had a Carfax report on it that showed a $2,000 claim on it. And this was at a dealer. So you can't even trust dealerships these days. And Marketplace, a lot of these dealers are hiding in Marketplace. Again, they'll have one of their salespeople, or they'll have some independent grease bag trying to sell a car on their behalf. But we were delivered a Carfax, had the header on it, had everything. And it basically said there's this $2,200 fix on it way back, 5 years ago. And we were okay with that. We said for $2,000, that's really not much. We're willing to buy the car. Then lo and behold, we bought the car. We owned it for about 4 or 5 years. We went to try to start to sell it, and sellers now or buyers are now asking, do you have a Carfax? No, we don't have one. The dealer, they told us we had the original one that they gave us for a $2,000 accident. Other than that, it was minor. And most people were like, okay, sounds great. I love the way it drives. And we had this happen about 4 different cases where we would meet somebody, the price was right, they liked the car, it drove away really nice, and everybody enjoyed it. They said, well, I'm just going to go, can I get a pre-purchase inspection done? We give a green light. And also, I just want to get a Carfax. I want to grab your VIN. So we said, okay, go ahead, grab the VIN. They did that at the base of the windshield, grabbed the VIN, verified it on the B-pillar, and everything matched up. And then they grabbed it, pulled a Carfax, called us next day and said, you know what? No. We looked at it. I'm not interested, thanks. And this happened once, twice, but they never really said why. They said, no, I'm not interested with the accident history. And we said, accident history? Well, we told you about the $2,000. They said, yeah, no, I'm good. And they were all being very coy, and people generally, especially Canadians, are very non-confrontational generally. And so they wouldn't really tell us until the last person. There was the 4th person that we came across that drove it, liked it, pulled the Carfax. The day later, they said, I'm out. I can't tolerate a $15,000 hit. $15,000 hit on a car that we paid $8,500 or $9,000 for? Was the dealer lying? Was Carfax a mistake? I don't know. Somewhere along the way we were screwed. And then now ultimately we had a car, a Honda Civic, that effectively, who wants it? Nobody wants a car with a $15,000 Carfax. And the way we left it, we had to inquire with Carfax. We had to go down to the dealer. I talked to general manager, call them out. And really, it just got downright ugly. See, why because things aren't even accurate these days. You can't take anything for face value, and particularly these greasy dealers, or even more specifically, marketplace or online sellers that are always trying to hide something, trying to get $1 from you. We need $1,000 down because it's a very popular car and we got 3 other buyers looking to buy it. Don't let them tug on your heartstrings. As soon as there's any form of aggression or pushiness, back off, say thank you very much. Because that's not the way we should be buying cars under duress. And I know times are tough. Cars are slim pickings these days for good quality, low mileage used cars. But definitely, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.